Okay, we will reconvene into open session at 5:37. And there is no action to report on from closed session. So we'll move on to item C, Pledge of Allegiance. And we do have a guest here who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
This is Alex McFall from Troop 29, and he's going to appear later in the agenda as well.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the nation under God, indivisible.
All right, we'll move on to item 5, comment session, comments and announcements by board members. Vice President Lisa Torres.
This weekend, this past weekend in Chico, we had our gymnastics meet. A lot of the kids from this area were in that meet and they did a great job. A lot of first place, second place. We even had level 1 littles, which was very interesting. Their minimum, I think, was 5 years old, if not 4 years old, that were competing. So it was pretty good. It was really cute. I also wanted to announce that this on March 30th, the Orville Southside Community Center is hosting an annual an Easter egg hunt. It is free for the whole community, so bring your child out. It's up at 2959 Lower Wyandotte, and it'll be from 11 to 1. We will have bouncy house, golden egg, all the trimmings, food. So bring your children out. And that's all I have to report.
What day was that?
It'll be March 30th,
Oh, the day
next
before.
Saturday.
Thank you. And Jessica Anthony.
Hello, I had the opportunity to participate what are we calling it? Read Across America event at the Ophir school site. And I specifically requested to only read to 3rd grade and under, as 4th and 5th grade can get a little intimidating. And anyway, I was able to read to the students some really fun books, and it was very well received. They laughed, they had a good time. The book I chose to read was How I Imagine a School. And it was this big imagination about how a school should be designed with water slides and swing sets and zoos and ultimate frozen yogurt, unlimited machines. And so it was really fun. So I enjoyed that. So I'm very grateful to be able to do that.
Great, thank you. And Sandra Barnes.
Excuse me, I too did Read Across America. When I was approached by Beth Parmentier, I said, just put me wherever you want. Give me whatever you book. I don't care. I'll have a good time no matter what. And I did. I read to kinders, which was awesome. We talked about equity and differences, and we had long conversations in the middle of the book, and we were perfectly happy doing so. We had a good time. The other thing I'm doing is getting my master's in governance training, and I just finished number 2, where there was a long skit, if you will, an opportunity for role playing, and I chose to role play the superintendent. It was fun. I won't go into any greater detail. I had a good time with it.
Thank you. And Bill LeGrand.
I have none at this time, madam.
Okay. I would like to report that I had the pleasure of, coordinating the 8th grade Butte Glen 8th grade career day for all 8th graders in Butte and Glen County on February 29th. And Ishi and the studios at Central were able to attend and bring all of their 8th graders. Overall, there were over 2,000 8th graders, but we also had 150 exhibitors. So they were business professionals and CTE high school leaders who were able to share career pathways and career ideas to our 8th graders to help them to start thinking about what kind of career they want and what kind of path they want to take, and potentially to get started early in high school with CTE classes. And it was really exciting to see the students engage with the exhibitors. They were really excited about it. They were actively participating, and it was interactive, and it was really exciting to have our schools be a part of that. And Dr. Holtum.
So I'd like to thank our president, Sharon Nielsen, for organizing that as part of her responsibilities as a employee of the Butte County Office of Education. Like she shared, both of our middle school 8th grade kids attended, and they had a great experience there. Speaking of CTE and things in that nature, this past month I was able to attend a group of Oroville leaders from the Oroville Coalition Development Committee, and we attended a tour of Butte College, and it was an excellent experience. I never realized how many opportunities and great things are going on at Butte College, and it was great to spend an entire, or at least 4 hours with a lot of the community leaders from Oroville, including a number of leaders from our local government and leadership here in the city. So thank you for that. This past Friday, I attended the Chico State Job Fair, and I've spent a lot of time this week with various panels, including principals and various employees of the district, interviewing prospective teachers for this coming year. And we have a lot of very strong candidates. And we even have candidates from outside who've left our district that want to come back to our district because they thought, oh, you know, I want to move closer to home. It's going to be better there. And they've turned out that they really are grateful for what we're doing here in the district, and they want to come back, and we will accept them with open arms. So we're excited about that whole hiring process right now because it's going very well. Last week at Sierra Nevada Conference Center, I attended a AXA Awards where we honored a certificated and classified employee. We honored Holly Hurley, and who's a custodian at Oakdale Heights, and Elisa Huru, who is a teacher at Oakdale Heights, and they both were honored for their great work, and they are nominated by the district and their school as being outstanding employees. So thank you to them. Thank you.
All right, Andrew James.
Good evening. Just a couple of things I'd like to comment on. Well, primarily, I've been working with Garrett Hartman, who is our computer tech, and our 2 network helpers, Christopher Murphy and John Damone, on preparing for next year for technology. We went through and did the process of ordering Chromebooks, which is a kind of exhaustive, getting lots and lots of bids from all of our different partners. And also have been reviewing a lot of technology with them to see kind of what's on the forefront and what's going to work in the classroom. And I know it's shocking, but just because stuff says it works doesn't always work, not all day in a classroom. So just wanted to thank them for their hard work and helping me prepare for next year.
Great, thank you. And Troy Cox.
Good evening, everyone. I have provided the curriculum and instruction board report. It's been a bit busy couple weeks since the last meeting. On March 5th, we had our supportive school climate advisory committee meeting. And thank you, Vice President Torres, for attending. It was a great meeting. We had a chance to review information, to hear concerns, and with a lot of our meetings, this meeting went well beyond the scheduled time. We wanted to make sure everybody had input and the time to express concerns and ask if they needed any support. So it was a great time by all, and we appreciate everybody that attended. We also had our LCAP community input meeting that was held on 3/12. We had a great group of parents. We had an average of 2 parents per site that attended. We went well over the 2-hour time limit as well and had great input from the community. We appreciate all the parents that came And we have a great list for us to help start writing our LCAP. A lot of good input, a lot of good information. And sometimes you hear things that you didn't expect going in. So it was a great experience. I really enjoyed getting to meet the community and seeing parents that I haven't met yet. So that's as well. We have our continued DOJ work. Our counseling group met on yesterday for the next step of our module of our FBA, which is our functional behavior analysis training. And as of our LCAP so far, we've completed a meeting with our certificated teachers, our classified staff, and our site principals. So we are well on our way. We will have future meetings scheduled to be meeting with our two multiplier schools, which would be our middle schools. We'll be having specific community meetings for those as well, and I'll make those public for the board. Thank you.
Thank you. And Holly Gutierrez.
Hi, good evening. I did give the board a little update on the state preschool. So I was just going to highlight some exciting things. We have obtained our license from Community Care, which is a huge hurdle. Our attendance platform that the board approved at the last board meeting is up and running. We are actively enrolling students as of now, meeting with parents, enrolling them into the program. Jesse is doing a ton of legwork, going out to Butte College, Chico State, trying to recruit as much, as many as prospective employees as we can. We did interview for a master teacher, which is really key. We need a master teacher. We do have an associate teacher. So we are supporting with the onboarding of that and just getting out there and getting more kiddos. So we are very close to opening. Jesse hopes to anticipate the second week of April. We will be up and running with your state preschool.
Great. Thank you. All right, and now comments by the public. Item C, so we'll extend an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on items that are school related. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use the raise your hand button to be called on to speak. Do we have anyone online who has raised their hand?
No, we do not.
Okay. Do we have any emails to read?
No, we do not.
Okay. Anyone from the audience wish to speak on items that are school related at this time? Okay, so we'll move on to item number 6, to recognitions. Eagle Scout project at Wyandotte Academy.
So you can come up. This is Alex McFall. He's with Troop 29 here in Oroville. And not, I think it was the weekend before last, he did an Eagle project at Wyandotte Academy, redoing the parking lot islands in that is the staff parking lot there. New boulders, new landscape form, brush, new plants and everything. And we just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Alex for his Eagle project that helps Oroville City Elementary School District. And I'll turn it over to Spencer.
On behalf of the district, we'd like to thank you for your time and effort. We'd also like to thank you for your dedication to Boy Scouts and what it means. As an Eagle Scout myself, I'm extremely proud of what you've accomplished because I know you've accomplished a lot. And the core values of Boy Scouts, we know that you're going to continue to do great things for this community. And on behalf of the district, we'd like to give you a certificate of appreciation. So we'd like to come up and receive your appreciation and then shake all of our hands as you go through. Come on up. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Quick picture up here.
Just you two?
Yeah, I'm not a photographer.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item 7, public hearing A, independent auditors report of Oroville City Elementary School District financials as of June 30th, 2023.
So you should all have received an exciting copy of the audit. I'm confident you've read every page, memorized every number. But really the highlight again this year as a testament to our business office staff and human resources staff and the good work we do as a unit. We have no findings, and there were no, what do they call it? No material weaknesses found by the auditors. This particular audit took extra long amount of time because we had a lot of one-time funds that had come in and new funds, new grants and things. So it took a lot of extra auditing. It took a lot of extra work on the business office's part to prepare all the information that they wanted. And when you're going through an audit, the auditors that you're working with typically are just out of college. They're working on becoming a CPA. And so they have questions you wouldn't necessarily, think to ask. So it's always an education when you're trying to you're kind of educating back and forth. So it's always a good process. And I felt that Shavin and Associates has done a nice job. Very thorough. They certainly looked at a lot of data, asked a lot of questions. So I'm just real proud of the business office and the whole district office for doing a fabulous job. So.
And I want to thank Andrew and his department for a great audit, because having audits that have no findings and no recommendations is fantastic. So thank you, Andrew, for your good work.
Thank you. Does the board have any comments or questions on that? All right, thank you. Item 8, action session. Public comments on action items. We'll extend an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on items that are listed on the agenda. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use the raise your hand button. The Brown Act does not allow the governing board to discuss or take action on any item that is not on the posted agenda. Is there anyone online with their hands raised?
No, there is not.
Okay, do we have any emails in backpack to read?
None.
Okay, anyone in the public that'd like to speak on items that are listed on the agenda? Okay, we do not, so we will move on to item 9, consent agenda. Is there any discussion or questions on the consent agenda? I will entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Okay. Oops, I put down the wrong one. There we go. New business. Item 10, adopt proposed 24-25 school calendar.
So we are bringing back the adopted proposed calendar for the 24-25 school year. We brought this last month, and now we're bringing it back for a vote.
I would just like to say, just to put a comment out there, I was not here for the last month discussion, but I have discussed this in the past, and I would just like to put it out there for your future consideration that I would ultimately like to see a change in the name of the breaks in our calendar from Easter break to spring break and from Christmas break to winter break. I think that change would be more inclusive and respectful of all individuals, because it is not limited to specific religions. And I know that the board has chosen to not do that in the past because we haven't had any parents ask for that change, but I think that it's important for us to lead the way and as well as to follow other school districts. Most school districts across the US have made those changes already with respect to individuals and families who do not celebrate Easter and Christmas. Is there any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion? What's moved? I'm sorry.
I make a motion that we.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Me. And abstain? None. So motion carries with 4 yes votes and 1 no vote. Item B, approve affidavit of governing board members.
It is recommended that the affidavit of the governing board members requesting the allowance of attendance due to emergency conditions be approved as a result of severe weather conditions on February 4th, 2024, that led to flooding and widespread power outages throughout Butte County and increased absenteeism at all OCESD schools on February the 5th, 2024.
Okay, is there any questions or discussion from the board?
Just another note, this is a J13 that we submit to the state to assist us with recapturing attendance for lost for that day.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the affidavit of governing board members?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item C, approve revised job description for coordinator of food services. All right, is there any questions or discussion from the board? All right, is there a motion to approve the coordinator of food services revised job description?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item D, approve job description for educational therapist intern.
It is recommended that the job description for the new position of educational therapist intern be approved as presented. This is a new job description. We currently have 2 educational therapists in our district, and they are fully licensed, fully credentialed, either marriage and family therapists or clinical licensed social workers. This position would be specifically for people who have received their degree in either social work or marriage and family therapy, but are working towards their licensure hours. And so it's kind of an intermediary placement for them as they work on their and in most cases, 3,000 hours to get their full credential or license. And so this is going to allow us to hire interns out of, for example, Chico State as they work through their hours. And it will give us, most of these positions are going to be mostly temporary. And when I mean by temporary is 1 to 2 years as they work through the process.
We did negotiate this position with CSEA, but because the nature of the position was temporary, CSEA did not want it represented in their unit. So if you look at the job description, it is listed as non-represented, has a completely separate salary schedule from CSEA. And in the past, we have had non-represented positions. Campus supervisors used to be non-represented. We've had a number of other non-represented positions in the past. Perfectly normal. We just don't happen to have one at the moment. But we did take this to CSEA. We did negotiate this with them numerous times, and they came to the conclusion that they didn't want to be a part of this position. So I wanted to make that sure that was said and was clear. That's why it's a non-represented position.
And that's a very important note, a very important point. And the reason for that is because it's a temporary position. Because once they get their license or their requirements for their hours, they will then move into positions of a full educational therapist, either in our district or, in other districts.
Is there a pay commensurate?
So the interns make about half of what our fully licensed people will be making. So it will be competitive enough to get those people to work in our district, but they definitely will be not only for the sake that they've gone through the whole process, but it will be in their best interest to complete everything so they can move to the next level.
Is it part-time or full-time?
This would be usually about 6 hours a day, which we consider full-time.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve the job description for the Era Educational Therapist intern?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item 11, Business and Finance. A, accept auditor's 22-23 financial report for the Oroville City Elementary School District.
So I've already kind of showed you the fun part of it. So this is just accepting the auditor's report as presented.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to accept the auditor's report? Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item B, approve 23-24 second interim budget adjustments and financial report.
Instead of doing a slideshow today, because second interim is the update to the update, so very little changes at second interim, I thought I would just highlight for you the one big change in second interim. The second interim budget includes the governor's January proposal for next year and the following year. And that's the big change for second interim. The governor's proposal has a reduction in the amount of COLA we're going to receive for next year from what was proposed at 3.94% down to 0.76%, which is a 3.18% reduction in COLA. Then the following year, we lose an additional 0.56%. So in dollars and cents, next year we lose about $900,000, and then the following year we lose about $1 million because of the way that the COLA, stacks on top of itself. Our budget is able to handle the reductions. We have been preparing, and I think I've discussed with you many times, we do have a large ending balance. We were expecting the economy to turn. As the economy is turning and we're losing money year over year instead of gaining money year over year because of our enrollment continuing to decline, we're able to weather the storm at least through the next 3 years as proposed in the second interim budget. That's the main feature of the second interim budget is the governor's proposal. I will say since the governor's budget has come out, things have begun to become even more negative. But I'm hopeful that with the reserves that we have, that we'll be able to continue to weather the storm. And when I say weather the storm, what that typically is going to look like is we'll eventually have to make some kind of cuts to bide time for the economy to rebound or for our enrollment to increase. When you have reserves, that buys you a couple of years. So that makes your cuts very different than if I had to make them right now. Lot less draconian because you're able to kind of plan it out and you'll say, oh, we'll have these key retirements. You're able to finesse a little bit and not involve people's lives as much. So we're hopeful that with our reserves the way they are, we're going to be able to still have to make some hard decisions, but be able to weather the storm and get through this economic downturn. Hopefully having as little impact on students and their education as possible. So with that, that's the kind of the big change from first interim for second interim is just that the storm clouds are here. It's dark outside.
How will
Alright.
this impact our reserves?
Um,
I mean, to what extent?
so it's going to deplete our reserves. It's going to take away another 1.9 million out of the 3-year budget. We do have adequate reserves to cover. And honestly, before this budget, we were looking at next year losing money already because of our declining enrollment situation. So it's going to eat out of the reserves is what's going to happen. The hope is that we're able to make strategic decisions to keep a good reserve and an original budget, which will arrive in June. We'll have a look at that next year after that, which will be the much more challenging year. And as long as we're focused on that third year out, and that's the problem. Those are problems we typically can fight our way through, or strategize our way through, or wait our way through, depending on how it works out. But that's where I kind of foresee where we're going. So I don't see us, there's not a lot of places where I can look at the budget and say, well, there are some obvious cuts. But we will start looking at ways to save money, different strategies going forward, because we are getting to that proverbial time.
Thank you. Is there any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, so I will call for the vote. Is there a motion to approve the 23-24 second interim budget adjustments and financial report?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item C, approve pupil transportation services plan.
This is the same pupil transportation plan that we presented to the board at the last board meeting for public comment. This is the plan put together by Orville Union High School District, who operates our transportation program. So we're bringing it back tonight for approval.
All right, any discussion or questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve the pupil transportation services plan?
I make a motion that we approve the pupil transportation plan for the 23-24 school year.
Is there a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item D is to approve revised 23-24 management salary schedule.
So this management salary schedule, the only revision to it is that we've added a stipend for the principal in charge of the Independent Family Learning Center, which is our independent study program. When we started the Independent Family Learning Center 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, it was before you. It was a very small program. We had 1 teacher at this point. How many teachers are in the program?
We have 3 teachers in the program and we're growing.
So it's become a popular program. I'm sure you can imagine after going through what we went through with COVID, independent study is very popular. If you recall, when we had Bird Street School, I think we had about 4 teachers there and a principal. So the responsibilities for this program are sort of beyond what a typical principal additional assignment would be. So we're hoping to incentivize and encourage and pay for that principal to take on those additional duties, because it is a much bigger chunk of work doing that, being in charge of the IFLC now than it was before. So that's why we wanted to include that on the salary schedule. It's the one and only change, the salary schedule.
Any questions or comments from the board?
This is a one-time per year.
Yeah, it'd be
Correct.
you'd get a stipend one time per year of $5,000 if you were the principal operating that IFLC school, in addition to the school you're already operating.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the 23-24 management salary schedule?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item E is to approve the 23-24 classified specialty salary schedule for educational therapist intern.
As we discussed the educational therapist intern before, this is the salary schedule that's completely separate from the CSEA salary schedule. It's its own standalone, non-represented salary schedule for classified staff. $30 an hour for that intern position.
Any comments or questions from the board? All right, is there a motion to approve the 23-24 classified specialty salary schedule for the educational therapist intern?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. All right, item F, accept bids for the pavement maintenance project at Oakdale Heights.
So we're hopeful that this summer, which we were hopeful to do last summer, but because of summer school, we had to rearrange things to repave the playground at Oakdale Heights. It's long overdue. It really needs to be done. So we went out to bid, and here are the bids for your approval.
Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there a motion to accept the bids for the pavement maintenance project?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
This one came in significantly lower. We'll stay hopeful on that.
Yeah, we were surprised that the one bid came in lower, but this is a vendor that we have dealt with in the past, so we felt comfortable with the bid.
Understood.
And I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any no? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Forgot what I was saying. All right, item G is to award the contract for the pavement maintenance project at Oakdale Heights.
We recommend that the low bidder, All American Construction Incorporated of Sutter, California, be awarded the contract.
Any questions or discussion from the board? Okay, is there a motion to award the contract for the pavement maintenance project?
Make a motion that we award the contract for the pavement maintenance project as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item H is to approve natural gas purchase agreement.
So in the past, at Orville City Elementary School District, since before I started, we were a part of a natural gas purchasing group called Spur. Spur is no longer offering natural gas purchasing as a group. So we have to look forward into next year and say, well, what are our options? Option one is we can go just through PG&E. The concern with PG&E is the rates tend to fluctuate dramatically. And during the times of year that we actually use natural gas, the rates are very high. In the summer, we don't use any, and then the rates are really low. So we reached out to a vendor, Commercial Energy, that will give us a rate today and have it be the rate for the full year. My thought was, let's give that a spin. It seems like the way it was presented to me that it would save us some money because the way that their averaging works. And it's a 1-year deal and we can evaluate and see how it goes. I'm hopeful that this will save us some money and add some budget stability to our natural gas bills because we'll know the rate that we're paying as opposed to having, a vastly fluctuating rate with PG&E. And then after the 1 year, we'll reevaluate and see if we want to do this commercial energy type of purchase again. They are trying to get another purchasing group together to do volume purchasing, but that as of this time, there really aren't a lot of people participating. So the rates for that are considerably higher than PG&E would be. So that didn't seem like that made sense for us right now. So.
All right, is there any discussion on that?
I have a question. So each individual school site or district building is supplied natural gas individually. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a collective, how does that work?
We have to pay them individually.
You have to have each one of them registered separately.
So we have, they would be our, like our vendor who would be the one that would be selling us the natural gas through whatever agreements they have, however that works in the, you know, the natural gas business.
So is this like a stored natural gas, like a propane tanks type?
No, they
situation?
don't store natural gas. It's through the same lines. It's
Okay.
just that they have a way to, you know, do finance it the way that they do.
Measurement?
Yeah. They
Okay.
just offer an alternative to paying for basically straight through PG&E. So
You're essentially buying in bulk. The
Mhm.
delivery, transportation to your facility is the same as everybody else's
Mhm.
through PG&E's thing. So you do pay something to them too.
Uh-huh.
It's like kind of like solar, you know how they do that? And
Yeah,
it's similar to that. So you're just buying in bulk is what you're doing.
okay.
yeah, the hope is that it will provide us with savings. And we'll be evaluating that, like I said, before we renew with them.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the natural gas purchase agreement?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
I
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item 12, personnel. A, consider request for unpaid leave of absence.
Thank you. At this point in time, I'd like the board to consider an unpaid leave of absence for certificated employee 2023 effective for the 24-25 school year. The employee is aware that no district health and medical contributions will be made during this time. However, the employee can elect to personally cover the premiums during this time. I do want to bring up a couple important points to the board. This is the third year that this employee has asked for an unpaid leave of absence. Typically, when I bring these forward to the board, there's very compelling reasons for the unpaid leave. This one is not as compelling, and the reason for that is because for child rearing. Now, although we feel that very important, what's important to know that typically year after year we have ample positions, and what this does is allows us to reserve a spot, a teaching position for this teacher if she decides to come back. While I would like to have the board kind of rethink this is because as we get into tougher times, we may have to do layoffs. And this particular employee would be able to keep their seniority even though they haven't worked for us for the period of 3 years. Now, we don't anticipate that this is going to be a problem next year. I just want the board to consider that moving forward. I do recommend that we approve this one, but in future, I will be consulting with the board more because we don't want to save positions for people when we might have to be in the cutting of layoffs in the future.
Well, here's the problem that I foresee. I mean, this person is gaining, dare I say, equity over people who are actually in the classroom. And then when that comes, when it becomes to layoff times, you know, in the next, you know, in 3 years out,
Mhm.
We're going to be saving a spot for someone who hasn't been in the classroom for potentially 4 or 5 years over people who have been working day in and day out in the classroom, giving them preferential treatment with no guarantees that they're going to come and fulfill that spot in the 6th year.
And that's exactly why I bring up the points right now. I try to be as equitable as possible with what we've done in the past, and that's why I brought up the fact that this is really not that compelling. The ones that I brought in even last month, I shared with you, and they're very compelling. So that's why I want the board to take a harder look at this, but in the sense of just trying to be fair with everybody that we deal with. But I also want to let you know that we anticipate that hopefully if we do ever have to start cutting people, that in the foreseeable future, most of those cuts will be able to be handled through, natural attrition, people retiring and things like that. But I do want to note to you, Ms. Barnes, that your point is spot on.
Well, my other question is, did I just forget it? Oh, won't this child be going into preschool?
Yes, eventually.
Eventually.
Okay, any other questions or discussion from the board? So it is recommended from the district that we approve
Oh.
this?
That was my other question. Do we have a board policy concerning this? Or admin policy?
Well, we do have board policy regarding leaves. We don't have a policy that recommends, how many times or things of that nature. So I'll leave it to the board to kind of make the recommendations, but I'm just laying the foundation for kind of years to come and for meetings to come that we are going to be more and more careful with this. We can start with this one being more careful, but in years past, we are always looking for teachers and we're going to keep every option open for people to come back. And now I'm starting to say, we're going to start looking at those more carefully, because we don't want to reserve those spots for when we might be looking to lay off people in 3 years.
So there, at this moment, there's no limitation on how many unpaid leaves
Correct.
that a certificated employee can take.
Correct.
And if we were to put forth the proposition of having a policy, would that interrupt your
We-
negotiations?
We certainly could do that, or we certainly could look at that. I don't know what the ramifications and what kind of guidelines are in the ed code right now. I'd have to research that. But I just want you to know that this is the third time we've done this for this employee. And usually 1 year or 2 years is usually where we start to get
And this is consecutive.
consecutive years. Yes.
Okay, any other discussions or questions from the board?
Just one quick question. The individuals that are out on these leaves do not accrue service credit, do they?
They do not.
Thank you.
All right.
It's a tough one.
Is there a motion to approve the request for unpaid leave of absence?
I make a motion that we approve the consideration for request for unpaid leave of absence.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. And that concludes our meeting. We will adjourn at 6:28.